Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? We got a couple of groups that are joining in today, so I'll try my best to look at all the screens, look at the people live here in our office. Thank you for being on. This is how to win more multiple offers. So how to win more multiple offers. I want this to be super collaborative. Anybody is welcome to jump in, to discuss, to give some tactics. I think I've been doing this now for a little over 20 years. This is the second hardest market that I've ever had to navigate. And I'm a lot more professional and experienced now than the last time, which was in 2003 to 2005. That was really tough to navigate because it was crazy and I didn't know what I was doing because I was just getting started in the business. So thank you for tuning in. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Jackie. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Christian. People will be jumping on. There's people on Facebook Live, and really I just want this to be a mastermind. You guys have probably seen me in Lunch and Learns before and doing video presentations. What's up, Jay Brown? This is just going to be super collaborative. This is more of a mastermind than just listen to me talk. So I'm going to throw some things out there, but anyone feel free to interject. I intentionally didn't invite a lot of people because I believe a mastermind's about a group of 10 to 15 people tops. And this is just really to help out each other of what we can do to win more multiple offers. What's up, Mr. Brown?
Hey, bud. How are you guys?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing good.
You got your coaching today, or is this your off week?
Today is coaching at 4 with Mr. Wilson.
All right, buddy. So one of my friends and fellow core warriors in our coaching program is on, Jay Brown. So this is just all about sharing best tactics, best strategies. I'm going to start out. I just have empathy for our realtors on and why I do, because if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm a little overwhelmed by all this. My team's a little overwhelmed by all this and frustrated. I can't imagine how you guys feel. Like I got into it, not got into it. I reprimanded one of my team members pretty hard the other day because they were complaining about running all these numbers for clients and updating pre-approvals. I'm like, imagine being their agent. Imagine following them around town, seeing 10 to 15 properties that they don't like or want to make an offer. Finally, they find the one that they do like, and there's 20 other parties interested, and it's all cash, and you might not even stand a shot to get it. Like, we don't have the challenges our realtor partners do, so let's keep this in mind. So that conversation led me to, what can I do more? What can I do more as a lender? What tools can I provide to help our realtor partners win, to help our clients win? How can we solve this problem? And if any of you talk to my wife, we call her the man of the house because I'm not very handy, so I can't help build any homes because I can't even fix anything at home, Jay. I am not handy. I'm good at mortgages, and that's about it. So I just really thought hard. What can I do? What can my team do? What can we do as good partners to help our agents win more? So these are kind of the things that I came up with. And just please interject if you guys say, hey, this went really well, or we're using this effectively right now. I just was able to get my in-laws under contract on a new home, and I want to give you the details of that. It was in Cornelius, North Carolina. It was a new construction home in a 55 and older community. It was a $700,000 list price. And we did tactic number one. We did an escalation clause. So an escalation clause says, hey, we will give 1,000 or 5,000 more than your highest offer. So I know, and you guys once again interject, I know that sometimes it's well received. I know sometimes they're not well received. Okay, so you can all give an example of when they are received and when they're not well received. Somebody's on, and I got really bad reverb. Let me just mute you or remove you. Please mute yourselves until you're ready to talk. There we go. We got it fixed. Cool. So 55 and older community, and it was a 710 list price. Well, we used the escalation clause. It got bid up to 781. So the highest we were going to go was 750, and we would have lost. We thought that would get it done for sure. We would have lost out. All cash, $50,000 in North Carolina. There's 2 earnest money checks. The first one's called due diligence. The second one's called earnest money. That first check is hard, meaning if we get an inspection and it sucks and the place is not well built, we're out that $50,000. So there's 2 checks. The first due diligence is hard. That means you do not get it back no matter what. And then there was another $50,000 check. So there was $100,000 in deposits needed, and that's what it took to get a place that had 18 other offers. So all cash, $100,000 in deposit, 15-day closing, and risking $50,000 just to go under contract. So that's the craziness of the market right now. I've felt it firsthand through those negotiations for my in-laws, and I'm sure that you guys have. So anyone want to talk about escalation clauses, why they like them, why they don't, where they see them effective, where they don't see them effective?
I mean, I'm happy to talk about them for a minute.
Go ahead, Steph.
So there are a lot of agents that do not like escalation clauses. So at least in our market, you're not allowed to use them in all cases. There are some agents that just say, we will not take them or we will take them. I think an escalation clause used correctly can be really amazing, but I also think that there are incorrect ways to use the escalation clause. So for example, sometimes we see agents put in a lower offer and then use an escalation clause. And that doesn't sit well with the seller. So, if something's listed at $500,000 and you put a $475,000 offer out and say we're going to pay $5,000 over the best offer you get, that is not looked at super well by a seller. So that's sort of number one is don't come in low with an escalation clause.
Right.
I think even in this market for things that are super desirable, that are getting, the many offers, I think even coming in above the asking price and then also with an escalation clause makes sense, right? You're already making a very strong offer on the property.
Yeah, that's what we did on this property.
Also willing to go higher.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I sort of am just sharing what the feedback has been for us on the list side, but also on the buy side I've heard from other agents. You
do a ton of listings. I mean, you're a monster agent. Stephanie and I have known each other for 13 years. You're one of the best realtors I've ever seen in my 20 years and do a lot of listings. How do you feel about them when you get them on the list side?
I think it's beneficial for the seller and the buyer. I feel like I'm a little bit surprised sometimes when agents say we absolutely just will not take them. I feel like the seller benefits, they're getting more money, and the buyer benefits because this blind bidding process is really tricky and frustrating. And so I feel like it helps that dynamic, right, between coming to an agreement between a buyer and a seller. So I think that, Carrie said, can you mute everyone? Because it's better.
Yeah, no,
so I think the only time I don't love it on the list side is when what I just described happens, right? When somebody is using the escalation, well, we're hedging our bets that you're not getting a better offer, and so we're coming in low with an escalation.
When you say low, are you talking below list?
I am.
Yeah.
I feel like you cannot come in below list with an
that.
escalation.
No.
It just feels bad.
Yeah. This is like, I agree. This strategy is you're coming in at list price with an escalation clause or higher. You can't go in below list. It's just not the market to do this. And, it's hard. It's got to be hard for the listing agent if there's more than 2 escalation clauses. In this case, we won because we were the only ones that used it. So our agent, who many of you might know, Phil Puma, he thought it would go for about, he's like, it's going to go for 760 to 775, right? Well, if we would have taken his advice, we would have went in at probably 775, right? And we would have lost because someone else built 780. So we came in at 775 with an escalation clause, 1,000 over the other top offer, and it's the strategy that won. So,
and did you put a cap on it, Chad?
We did, up to 8. Yep. So the max budget for them was 8. I said, well, if this is the place you want and it's new construction and stuff that is not new construction is getting bid up past 800, just take your best shot here. Why not take your best shot on the brand new property? So in the community they want to be in. So I think number one, great one to write down if you're not using it, is an escalation clause. Use it. Maybe someone else can share, but I don't see how it can't be helpful. What's the worst they do? What's the worst the list agent does? Say no and say submit a regular offer. Like the worst someone's going to do is say no, submit a regular offer. Correct? Like they're not going to remove your offer from consideration. That would be detrimental to their client, the seller. Correct?
Correct. I do feel like there are some sellers though that they don't get it. I think it depends on the generation too. Yeah. Like I feel like there are different generations of people that feel like, well, if you're willing to pay $780, why didn't you just make a $780 offer?
Right.
Right. Like I think there is some of that happens too. But it is challenging in the multiple offers. I think the other challenge is, like, I had another agent call me this week and say, okay, Steph, help me with analyzing what just happened on my multiple offer. And she and I went through each of the 3 offers she had. And I feel like sometimes as listing agents, we're trying to be so fair with everyone, that sometimes we also get like in the weeds with it. I was like, I'm like, Megan, this is very straightforward. Like, this is a much better offer. Their escalation's way higher. It doesn't really matter what the other 2 have done because their escalations aren't as high. It was an easy one to sort of sort out, but I think she got down in the weeds a little bit. Like, does this one kick in if that one kicks in? I'm like, so take this one, take it to the max, then what's that one from there, right? So it can be a little bit complex too, I think, to navigate. And honestly, I think a lot of agents just don't want to spend the time. They don't want to spend the time and energy on it.
Well, that's a disservice to their clients, in my opinion. Go ahead, somebody else. Thought I heard someone clicking in. Jay Brown, you do a lot of great listings. Any comments, thoughts on the escalation clause?
Yeah, I think maybe just to add a little cherry on top to that clause, I think the effort in the clause itself is good. It's a good, like Stephanie said, definitely come in with a strong offer. But if you're working extra hard to put that escalation clause in there on top of that, that at least lets me as a listing agent know that I'm working with an agent who's going to do what it takes, what they need to do to get it done. But the phone call after that to explain and to have that conversation and say, hey, I'm presenting this as the best possible offer I can to you and your client. And the goal is to, put an offer in front of you that's as appealing as possible to your client. So if they don't like an escalation clause, could you maybe share with me what would be better for them? And maybe you get a little bit of extra insight from that listing agent on what is important to their client. So that verbal comment, we get a lot of emails, we get a lot of text messages from agents. But when an agent slows down and has a conversation with me about the situation that their client's in and how important this home is to them, it can really bend my ear a little bit to pay a little bit more attention to that offer.
That's awesome. That's an awesome comment. Yeah, and that kind of is a perfect segue into my next comment. The second thing I think we have to do is understand things from the seller's perspective, right? Build a relationship with the other agent. Be a professional. Make it collaborative. Pick up the phone. Present the offer in person. Present the offer over email and follow up with a call. I like video text. Hey, I just sent in an offer. I left you a voicemail. I wanted to shoot this quick video text with everyone involved to let you know who I am, let you know who Jay Brown is, our great buyers realtor, let you know who our great buyers are. Let's collaborate on this. Let me know what we got to do to put this together. Here's the highlights of why my client wants a place. Here's their strengths. Here's my strengths. We'd be honored to buy this property from your seller. By the way, great listing. Would love to hear how you got it, and I'm a big fan of your work, right? I think we all go around town trying to spread that dry toast, right? Butter them up a little bit. Put some butter on it. Put some jam. I'm a big peanut butter fan. I'm going to put a big slab of peanut butter to that other agent. We need to kiss their butt to get what we need for our clients. I think too many times we're just trying to be hard-nosed and not build a collaborative relationship with them. I got to tell you that I know for a fact that the deal that we just got, it was because of my agent's work, my agent's relationship with the builder rep, him being able to get a little insider information of where she thought about the property we was going to go for. That all helped us put our offer together. If you're just randomly throwing in offers, everybody thinks price is king. It is king, but it's not the only thing. Cool. I just had this conversation yesterday on a save a loan. They took the highest price, right? I looked at the other three offers, or we talked through the other three offers. They accepted the highest price with a 3% down payment. Well, guess what's happening right now? Low appraisals. Guess what this 3% down person does not have? An appraisal gap coverage strategy, right? So therefore that highest price means nothing. It wasn't worth the going with the highest price when there's two or three others that were just a little bit below it that had 20% down, right? Those could have got done. Now you got to start all over. You got to try and go back to those backup offers. So take these things into consideration on your list as well. Any other tactics that you guys use besides a video text to build a good relationship with the agent on the other side? Highlight some of their accolades. What are some tactics that you guys have used to maybe kiss butt a little bit better than I do?
I think Jay's right. I think picking up the phone. No agents pick up the phone.
Blows my mind.
Even the video text. Like, I think the video text for you, Chad, is good. I don't think the video text for a realtor is enough. Yeah. I'm with Jay. You have to pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone.
And I actually asked a friend of mine who just had a multiple offer. I said, how many of those agents called you? I just was curious. She's like, it was a mixed bag. Yeah. She had 6 offers. She was like, two probably picked up the phone. A couple had talked to me a couple days ago and just shot me a text saying they were sending over, their highest and best. I called her. I was like, here's our deal. Here's why we can close. Here's right. And so I think it makes a huge difference. Everyone underestimates the power of a phone conversation.
Agree 100%. I know there's a realtor in our coaching program. They infiltrate their offices of the other realtors, get a mini all about you form, have a lot of just what the other person likes, and will drop in with their favorite coffee, or will bring them like something, just a small little token, their favorite candy, and tries to deliver every offer in person, either at an open house, at their office, at their home. I had a nice conversation with her. Everything she tries to do is in person. I think the next best thing to in person is over Zoom, over just a face-to-face, and also the phone. Pick up the phone, go above and beyond. If you want to be treated like a commodity or a transaction, then you're going to be treated that way by acting that way. So if you're just sending texts, if you're just sending emails, you're just a commodity. and you're to be shopped to the highest price in this case, right? So if you're not the highest price and you're not going the extra mile on those other things that Stephanie talked about, Jay talked about, you're doing a disservice to your buyer. Any other successes, tactics? Yeah, you'd be surprised, Kim. It's not common sense. I think it boggles my mind. I train a lot of loan officers. I coach a lot of loan officers across the country. They don't make an extra call to tell everybody what their pre-approval amount is and why their buyers are good risks to take on selling their home to. It's just from our standpoint as a lender, there's not many lenders that make a call to the listing agent. I see a lot of realtors not making the call to try and help their client win. Anything else? Any other successes?
Christian just mentioned all the other factors that go into it, like your close dates and whatnot. We accepted an offer on a house we listed a couple months ago, and we didn't ask for it, but the realtor called, and she said that her buyer close and give the seller 60 days, which the seller didn't ask for, but 60 days of basically a lease back or rent back before they took possession. And she didn't really need to do that, but we're seeing a little bit more of that as well. We're in those situations where we're listing homes where our sellers are needing to close on their home in order to go to the next one because they need that equity or they're contingent. So that's something we're looking at pretty hard now, where we're starting to list properties with an automatic 60-day, 90-day window to close and then have that back. So if you have multiple offers, go ahead and put that up front, and that weeds out anyone who's not willing to work with that window of time for a seller moving on. So it may be something that's beneficial from a buyer standpoint. Just go ahead and offer that up front.
Yeah, that's what I meant by being collaborative. Like, it might be that lease back. It might be a quick closing so they can get their money and go find the next place. It might be that they want a family in there and they don't want to sell to an investor or a developer. You never know what someone's motivations are. It's not always money. Christian made a great comment. She said that they had a seller take $50,000 less because the seller felt more comfortable with the ability to rent back afterwards. So rent a property back. So that's being collaborative. I think another great tactic, I've been talking about this a lot this week because it's a huge problem in our industry. And I'll just briefly touch on it. And a lot of agents don't like it when I say it, but sometimes the truth hurts, okay? Appraisals are not current value, okay? Appraisals are 6 months to a year ago's value because those are the comparable sales that can be used. And if there's no comparable sales that support this recent run up in appreciation, which there's not a lot of them yet, these sales now will be our comparables in the summer. So you shouldn't see as many appraisal problems by the summer unless prices keep running up. If they start to slow down and level off, now notice I did not say go backwards because I don't believe values are going backwards. There's way too much pent up demand. I believe this is a 2 to 5 year issue. And I think we're at the beginning of it. And if I had to put my money on it, this is more of a 5-year trend, not a 2-year trend. But I'm confident in saying it's at least a 2-year problem, if not more. And when I say that, there is just this notation out there that every appraiser sucks and no one's doing their job. Well, your properties are selling for way more than other sales support it should, right? And that's what it is. The market's a free market. People can pay what they want, but you have to be prepared for the appraisal to come in low. And most people are not, and then just point fingers. So what are some things you can do on the list side? I still believe, once again, in being collaborative, not serving that dry toast all around town. Put on your best smile, put on your best suit, guys, put on a tie. Ladies, put on your best dress, meet the appraiser there, do their homework for them, hand them some comps, be super pleasant, be polite, and they have no motivation to to appraise a property what it's listed at. They have motivation to not lose their license and to not run up values. Remember, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are government entities. Their biggest concern is for prices to keep running up and cause another bubble. Right? That's what they're trying to protect when they push the appraisal values. So they have that conversation with the appraisers. I know some of them very well. The appraiser's job is not to meet your contract's price. Their job is to look at 3 to 6 recent sales that have sold within preferably the last 6 months that are within a mile of the property. And if you can't provide them to the appraiser can't provide them to their self. And that's what they're going to base the value off of. So obviously we've had a huge run up in value since last summer and last fall, right? And there's not comps to some of these properties. And we're just going to have to accept that there's going to be appraisal shortages. So what can we do about it? I would not accept anything on a listing that has less than 15% down if the other offers are close. If you don't feel you can pull the comps and support the price of your property with a good appraisal, or just accept the cash offer. And that pains me to say because I only get paid doing mortgages, right? So that would be one. The reason I say 15% down because cross-country mortgage has what's called appraisal gap coverage. So subtract 5% from what the client's putting down. That's how much appraisal gap coverage we have. So if you have a buyer with 20% down, we have 15% appraisal gap coverage. And what I mean by that is multiply the purchase price by 0.15. That's how short the appraisal can come in, and we can still cover it with a new loan amount. So I have this deal going on right now as a real life example. It's closing tomorrow. We just got the appraisal in Monday, 15-day closing. It's funny when we do these quick closings, everybody forgets that it's going to come down to like the last second of the last day, right? They think it's going to be done like a week before. Like, no, you just gave us the contract last week. So this deal came in on Monday. The appraisal came in $100,000 short on a $700,000 purchase. Wow. Luckily, the client was putting 20% down. They had the option to put 20 to 25% down. Well, I could just come to them with an appraisal gap strategy. We didn't even need to change their loan amount. I just had to add 0.25% to their interest rate, and I paid their PMI for them because we're looking at it like a 5% down loan, right? Now, they're looking at it as a 20% down loan because they have the price of the property. We're basing ours off the appraisal. But in the end, it mattered about $82 a month on their mortgage. When I told them that, it wasn't a big deal. So everyone panicked, made this huge issue because the buyer thought they would have to bring $100,000 to closing. They didn't have to bring anything further to closing because we had appraisal gap coverage strategy. So when you accept those pre-approval letters with the big banks that don't have low down payment options, you're shooting yourself in the foot. They don't have this other outlet that they could go to. So appraisal gap coverage strategies, it's your job really as a buyer's agent, in my opinion, to make sure that you can cover that of what you think the home's going to appraise for once you're under contract, and definitely on the list side to pull some comps, meet the appraiser there, and do what you can if you accept a finance offer. Now, I know that's not a popular thing to say. I know that might upset some of you because you're already working so hard because of all the hundreds of properties you're probably showing people. And to add another step to you right now, I know is painful because it's a lot of homework to pull those comps. But it's also a lot of homework to go back to your seller and ask them for money. It's a lot of work to go back and relist the property, right? It's a lot of work to have a deal fall apart. So appraisal gap coverage strategies are super important. Once again, to recap, take the down payment on the pre-approval, subtract 5%, right? So if they're putting 20 down, you can have 15% appraisal gap coverage strategy, right? That means I can finance 15% of whatever the deal comes in short. So if we have $1 million deal, I can still finance 150,000 of the shortage. Cool. If they're putting 15% down, subtract 5, you have 10%. So on that same $1 million home, I could finance $100,000 shortage. right? Anything less than that, 10% down, it's a 5% gap coverage strategy. And anything lower than a 10% down payment, you really have no gap coverage. Any questions on that? Because I know that's more in my lane on the lending side.
Yeah, say that again. So with 15% down, you can do 15% coverage?
15% down, subtract 5, I can do 10% coverage. So always subtract 5% from their down payment.
Okay.
So what's a listing you have right now? Give me a price of a listing, Stephanie.
Jackie, what did we just have that came in short?
Oh, we had Plaza that came in short.
Oh yeah. So we have a, is that at 400?
No, 300 with the parking, and the appraisal came in at like
275.
Yeah.
So 275. So it came in 25,000 short, right? Do you know how much the buyer was putting down?
Yeah.
It was, I think, a decent amount.
I feel like it was a 20% down.
So that came in 8% short. If they're putting down 20%, then they would have that gap coverage. So, if they had 20, remember, subtract 5, there's 15% gap coverage. Your appraisal came in 8% short. So that is an exact situation.
It was 10%. They were going to do a mortgage of 270. So it was a 10% down.
So I would finance 5% of that 300,000, right? And then they would do 3% of it. So I would have covered $15,000 of that gap, and the buyer
and they covered 10.
And the buyer and or your seller would have had to cover the other 10. Right? Now, if you're in a deal with Chase or Bank of America or Citi, they're stuck on most of that stuff at 20%. They have no appraisal gap coverage.
So this is just a cross-country thing?
There's a couple other lenders that have it. I'm not going to promote them today, but there are a few others that do it.
Is that an automatic option? Or is that something?
No, I mean that's a great question, Jay. Like I'm sure I see a bunch of my colleagues at Cross Country watching me right now on Facebook Live, because I have you on both Zoom and Facebook Live, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" It takes experience. It takes having a solutions mindset of everyone stop freaking out and pointing fingers. Right? This is not a big deal. We have a $20,000 gap or shortage on appraisal. Hey, I can cover 10 of it or 15 of it. You guys have to cover 10, okay? But it makes everyone feel better when the number is a lot less than they're expecting. Because every time someone hears that news, they're all like, well, I'm not paying the 25 grand. Well, I'm not paying 25 grand. Well, maybe if each pay 5,000, everybody feels better. But yes, it is a option available at a lot of companies. It takes an experienced loan officers that even understands this to go to the clients, give them options, say you could do X, Y, or Z. Which one do you want to do? None of them sound worse than what they're facing and what they thought. Does that make sense, Jay?
Yeah, I guess my question is would it be available to every client that you get pre-qualified for, or would this be a certain level of client?
Anyone that puts 10% down or more will have some sort of appraisal gap coverage.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Cool. Buyer, sell. Oh my gosh, you guys must. Is my PowerPoint up, Kim? Thank you for going right into my next thing. And you guys can talk about this more because I get surprised by this. So, any other questions on appraisal gap coverage strategies? Just to give you an idea, I've only been talking about this for 2 weeks. Since I started talking about it, I had 4 deals come to my team that were save-a deals. Okay? I looked at them, I'm like, they could have done it with the other lender. The loan officer just doesn't understand it, right? I just understand it. So I looked at puzzles. I knew what company they're with. I'm like, they could have done this at the other company, right? But the loan officer didn't understand it. So there's very few people that understand appraisal gap coverage strategies. There's even fewer that can effectively communicate it and give the options to the client right when that appraisal comes in short, instead of letting it blow up into this issue. So no one on this call, if you have a listing or if you have a buyer, is exempt from appraisal shortages. I promise you're going to have to go through this turmoil and adversity. I would say 40% of appraisals are coming in short right now. That's not a cross-country thing. That's an industry-wide thing. I have 12 mortgage students across the country that I coach every Thursday. They're all having the same issues. They're all at different companies. Everyone across the country is having this problem. Anything else on appraisal gap coverage strategies? Questions, comments, concerns? If you ever have an appraisal that you do think is bad and you've done your homework and you've pulled the comps, and you can come to me and say, Chad, this just is not a good appraisal, because they do exist, and you feel strongly about the value and you did your homework, and you come to me and say, I know this value's there, I know a new appraiser will get it, and you're going to have the commitment to meet the appraiser and provide them the comps, I'll always pay for that appraisal for the buyer if you feel strongly about it, to have me get an opportunity at the loan. So when that happens and you know it is a bad appraisal, bring those to me. If you can say, Chad, here's the comps, this is why it should come in, I'm willing to go meet your appraiser out there and make sure this comes in, I'll always pick up the cost of that. So Stephanie, if that helps your deal, always put those in front of me. On to the next. It's funny, people are already talking about what my next slide is. Handwritten letters. Some people are saying, Amy's like, it violates fair housing in North Carolina. Stephanie, what do you think about the handwritten letters? I know you've been using them successfully.
I don't think it violates fair housing unless you're talking about the color, any of the protected classes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only thing would be, I guess, if it's the familial status might be the only tricky one, right? If you say, like, our kids go to school around the corner or something.
Right.
But I would think that would only be if you're discriminating against them. Otherwise, I guess I don't see the fair housing violation unless you include a picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
so I can't include a picture.
You're not supposed to include a picture.
Really?
Correct.
Wow.
Well,
if they got a picture of me, they would
age,
probably reject it
sex.
anyway, so I don't give a picture.
Yeah, but that says a lot, right? Like, that's you're hitting a lot of the categories with the picture.
Got it.
Age, sex, race, potentially sexual orientation.
Got it. Now, and listen, they always talk about the RESPA police, right? I've never met one. I've never seen anyone put in a RESPA jail. I don't know that. I've never seen a RESPA loan officer, but has there been some circumstances where you guys have seen issues from this? Someone gets reported, someone loses their license. Is it like you're not supposed to do it and everybody does it, or is it like a big deal that your brokerages say don't do it?
It's a mix. I don't know that I've actually heard of somebody getting, fined or whatever for it. We definitely have heard about discrimination happening, but I don't know that it's been, based off of love letters. I had a great agent, though, when we were in a multiple offer for a buyer, and I had a great agent send a whole email, and I thought this was brilliant. It was very well written. I told her last night, I'm like, I'm stealing that from you, just so you know. Gave a whole breakdown. Like, if you would like to include a love letter, that's great. Please do not include a picture in your love letter. or it will not be included with the presentation, of the offer. So just outlining, we will accept the escalation clauses. Here's when highest and best are due. This is the other thing I loved. We will be reviewing tonight, and we will get back to you by tonight, or we will get back to you in the morning. Right? Like, so I know I got a little off topic from the love letters, but I feel like
Definitely.
yeah, go ahead.
That's such a good tool. Can you send that to Chad? And Chad, can you?
Yeah, I'll circulate it to all of you. Just put your name in the chat or send me an email. I'll put in my email, and I'll get this out to anyone. And those on Facebook,
that's a great tactic.
I love it. Like, listen, I'm not scared to say it. When we sold our last house, there were 6 offers, and they were all very similar price. One was a little touch higher and included a letter and their family and said, we hope this isn't weird, but we know you have a family. We've seen you walking outside. We've seen your beautiful daughters. We just want to start our own beautiful family in your home and live on your legacy, right? Like, whose offer do you think I went with? Right? I'm still a human. It pulled at my heartstrings. It made me want to sell my home to someone that's going to be a family, right? Not someone that's going to set up a meth clinic or a meth factory in the back garage, right? So I don't know. I tend to struggle with all the compliance with stuff. I think I'm at least going to send a video, right? Maybe you don't send a picture. I don't see anything wrong with a letter. I think it's more on the liability of the seller side that they accepted it, and that's the reason that they accepted it, if someone can approve that. I don't think it causes much liability for the buyer's agents, but y'all do what you feel comfortable with. I'm not here telling people to break compliance or do something that your brokerage tells you not to, but I'm going to send a handwritten letter on every offer. I'm going to send my video text. I'm going to pick up the phone and call and be collaborative with the other agent and tell them why my family loves it. So if you don't want to put it in writing, make the call and say those things that you were going to put in the letter and have it relayed to the sellers, right? Pretty hard to prove a phone call. Cool?
What, I guess, does anyone who wrote about like the violating, fair housing and stuff in Oregon or in North Carolina, like why are they saying it's a violation of free speech? I'm confused. Like, why is that a violation of free speech?
Yeah, put it in the chat, and if you know why, we'll answer that later. So I want to move on to the next, a rock solid pre-approval. A rock solid pre-approval. This listing agent that I talked to yesterday underestimated the power of a rock solid pre-approval. So he accepted a pre-qual. The loan officer didn't even go through the borrower's pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, did no underwriting on the file. Literally just had the client fill out their information, pull a credit report. That is what we call a pre-qual. Don't accept pre-quals on your listing. They are not worth the weight of paper that they're written on. That means a credit check was done and they just took everything that the client data entered into an application online as fact. They did no verification with any documentation. Cool? I would never accept one if I were a listing agent. So that's what I call a level 1 pre-approval, a pre-qualification. I would never accept them. I think that's where you have deals fall apart. Okay? What's a solid pre-approval? This is what we do on every pre-approval. We run desktop underwriting, which means the investor accepted it. We pull their credit. We require all income and asset documentation. I literally will not meet with a client until they have provided all of their documents. I'm not going to give an estimate or a wishy-washy answer. Now, most clients push us to not give us everything, and they want everything from us saying that they qualified. So it is a constant fight we have with clients, but they will not get my time until they've done their homework. So I look at myself as the filter into your guys' back seat. I know maybe a lot of you might not have clients in your back seats anymore, but at least I'm a filter into you spending your whole weekends with someone that may or may not qualify. Cool. That is what is called a level 2 pre-approval. That means I've underwritten them with my eyes and or my team's eyes. I have several pre-approval specialists. That's all they do all day, every day is pre-approve people and check these things. It always passes my eyes and their eyes. So we do double verification, because guess what? I run really, really fast, and sometimes I miss some details and they catch them. So I would say I'm not the quickest in sending out pre-approvals. We're 4 hours after we meet with the client. That lag time is so my staff can review it and make sure they double verify everything that I verified during the meeting. So that is a level 2 pre-approval. That comes with a $5,000 pre-approval guarantee from us. Okay? What's that pre-approval guarantee do for you? It lets you go to the seller and say, my buyer is so rock solid that if we don't close and this pre-approval was inaccurate, non-appraisal, non-title issues, non-building issues, if it's a condo, non-HOA issues, borrower qualification, if the lender messed up and the borrower didn't qualify, he will pay you $5,000. That's one of the tools I thought up of how I can help my partners win more multiple offers. Cool. And then the level 3 pre-approval is the Mac Daddy, the bee's knees, the best of them all. It's an actual underwriting approval. So we send the client through underwriting. They come shopping with a loan approval, not a pre-approval. What's the difference between me giving them a letter and an underwriter giving them a letter? When an underwriter gives them a letter, the money is secured for them. The money is pulled aside from the market, is earmarked with their name and their social security, and it's the closest thing you can have with shopping with cash without actually having the cash. Okay? Now, why don't we do that on every client? Because it costs the client $900, because it costs me $900 to send a loan into underwriting. Cool? So those step the pre-approval guarantee up to $10,000 and allow you to take 5 days off your closing. Okay? So my average turn time on a deal right now, jumbos are 25 days, conventional are 20 days. If they have that underwriting pre-approval, because there's less work I have to do on the deal, it takes 5 days off the process. So we can close in as quickly as 15 days on conventional and 20 on jumbo. So all pre-approvals are not created equal. I will also tell you on the pre-approval front, and then I will get off promoting cross-country and promoting me, and the rest will be about you guys. I have looked at 8 pre-approvals over the last 2 weeks that other lenders did. On average, my team captain, Derek, just totaled it up. On average, we found $62,000 more in qualification. So we pushed that pre-approval up by $62,000 to let them get into another price bracket, to let them get into a better neighborhood, to let them get that extra bedroom or bathroom, to give them wiggle room above the list price on one of them. 3 of those 8 are already under contract. One of them is meeting with me right after this meeting. I just reviewed her pre-approval this weekend. She used that extra money to go higher on a property, and she wouldn't have got it without my pre-approval. So don't hesitate to have second opinion pre-approvals. I have found it to be I'll just say it, and you guys know that there are realtors that are this way too. There are just some weak lenders in our industry right now. There are people that got in during the refinance boom. They have 0 experience. I don't think they barely know how to spell mortgage, and there are just some bad pre-approvals out there. And you guys all know the repeat offenders of them. Don't trust every pre-approval letter you get. So I will come off my pre-approval soapbox, but that's how our pre-approvals are different. That's how my team does them. That's how they can benefit you in making a better offer on the sell side. Any questions, any comments on that? Cool, I'll get off my soapbox. Set proper expectations. Have your clients ready. Yes, you need 2 checks. Yes, you need to have this money ready. Yes, you need to have your tax returns, your W-2s, your bank statements ready for the lender. Yes, I need a pre-approval letter before I will show you a property. Yes, you need to have, like my agent Phil just said to me, like, dude, if you don't have $100,000 ready, don't waste my time looking at properties. You're going to have to put $50,000 down in due diligence. You're going to have to put $50,000 in earnest money. Do you have $100,000 standing on standby ready to put down? I'm going to need it like the next day. Do you have it ready? Yes, I have it ready. I wouldn't have had it ready if he didn't prep me for it. So set those expectations. Cool. What are some ways that you help clients set expectations, Jay?
Unmute here. Yeah, we go heavy on the anything your lender asks of you, get it to them immediately. They're priority number one.
I like that.
So good communication. We try to push back, the documents, you guys have the online onboarding, the documentation getting to you quickly. And then we let them know if there's going to be any bump in the road or any slowdown on closing on time, that sort of thing. It's probably going to be because we didn't get something to your lender, right?
Yeah.
So we thick communication with the lender.
Cool. Stephanie, how about you?
Yeah, I think Jay's right. It's really about the communication piece of it and just making sure everyone's in the loop.
Cool. Yeah, set those proper expectations. I also think it's great to have an 80 or 90% rule. Okay? Here's the 80 to 90% conversation for buyers. Hey, you've probably heard this is a challenging market. I've been doing this. Stephanie's been doing it, what, 21 years?
19. This is my 20th year.
You've been doing it since you're 12.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Stephanie and I have known each other almost the whole time that we've both been in the business, right? Talk about stories. Talk about, hey, you need to set your 3, 4, or 5 non-negotiables. I need to know them. You're going to have to compromise in this market. You're not going to find the perfect home. If you have 5 non-negotiables, right? You're going to have to let one of them potentially go to get in a home. You're not going to find the perfect home. So find a home that you can make the perfect home. Find one of those non-negotiables that you can live without. I think we should put in an offer if any property checks 90% of your non-negotiables, or maybe it's 80% or whatever number you guys want to select for yourself, but you got to have that conversation with the client before. Here's my setup during our pre-approval meeting. Be prepared to submit 10 to 15 offers before you get a property. On average, in 2021, we averaged 11 offers on our pre-approvals, meaning it took them 11 offers before they went under contract. That's on average. So some people got it on their first. Some people it took 25, right? Those were the 2 extremes that we had. So be prepared that could be you, and don't get frustrated. Are you in this for the long haul? Are you prepared to potentially have to put in 10 offers? Are you prepared to have to be let down 9 times, right? And then I usually would say my wife shot me down 9 times when I asked her to go out with me the first time. On the 10th one, she went with it. So I just had to be persistent. You're going to too. So find a joke, find a real life situation, but have that conversation with them up front. So set proper expectations of what this market is. Don't sugarcoat it to them, because then they're going to be upset later on through the process or frustrated, and you waste your time. Cool. Some party tricks.
I also think on that, Chad, I think saying to people, every single time we've ever had a buyer lose out on a property, it's because a better one has come around the corner. Because I also think it's easy to sort of go down that path of like, we're just losing and losing and losing. And, I would say like 95 times out of 100, all of our clients that have ever lost places they have ended up in a much better situation with the place that they ultimately end up with. Like, there is some other, forces at work here, I feel like, that prevent you from making maybe a decision that wasn't great.
Yeah. Good. That's awesome. Some quick party favors, and I'll end on this because I want to keep it at an hour. If you have a pre-approval with me or with a lender you really trust, they're like, oh, he's back to the pre-approval again. But this is not the trick. I would highly encourage you to consider, if they have a high down payment where we can have appraisal gap coverage and you feel good that the appraisal's not going to come in below that, I would highly encourage you to consider waiving your finance contingency. Cool. It's been 7.5 years since I wrote a pre-approval and we didn't close and it was our fault, right? So I make the clients go through a lot of work. Hopefully you're working with a lender that puts in that level of work and research. If you're not, you should consider using us, but consider waiving your your finance contingencies. Cool. You might want to buy properties as is. Okay, if you're super confident. I've seen that get used. We use that in the new construction home that I'm buying for my in-laws. We used it as is. Allow the seller to choose from a list of inspectors. Okay, allow the buyer to pay for some of the seller's title work. Allow them to pay for their transfer tax. Offer to pick up some of their costs. Make it collaborative. Make it the offer stand out to the seller with some of these party tricks. I've also seen all of the earnest money hard, right? No finance contingency, no appraisal contingency. You're just putting it all on the line. Last, I heard a great tactic, and I saw it used effectively. We won on an FHA buyer over 16 offers. Okay. Now, this was in North Carolina. For those of you on in North Carolina, this wouldn't work as well in Chicago unless you waived finance contingency and wrote an addendum that all the earnest money was hard. But what we did is the person had 5% total. Okay. They put it all down on due diligence. Now, this is really risky, but these people really wanted this house. And our agent called and said, hey, listen, we're putting it all down in due diligence. It's hard from the beginning. You might have an investor come in that's going to blow our down payment away, and they might walk away because they have plenty of deep pockets. This is every penny these people have. They're putting it all on the line to get their offer accepted. They are not going to back out. This is all they have, and they're all in on this home. What can we do to put this deal together? And it worked. This is all the money they got. So I am a professional sales coach. That's what I do as a part-time job. I coach mortgage lenders. I'll do it today for 2 hours on sales techniques and strategies. Put the objection on the table from the beginning. If you know your offer is got some weakness to it, just talk about it and overcome it. And when you put the objection on the table, I know this is only 5% down. I know this is FHA. I know you probably got 16 other offers, but let me tell you about my client. Let me tell you why they love their home. Let me tell you why I love working with you. Let me tell you why this is such a great home for my clients. Let me tell you the struggles that they've been through to get this 5% down. They qualify. We'll get the loan done. This is every penny they have, and they're going all in this crazy market on just your property. And it worked, and I was blown away by it, and it was great sales technique by our agent. He's a professional coach too, and I just don't know if many other people would have got that offer accepted. But use those tactics, use some of these party favors, do everything you can for your client instead of getting on the hamster wheel and just doing it the same way and doing it over and over and texting your offer and emailing your offer. Be the professional that sticks out. Use these tools, use these tactics, use your ability, use your professionalism to help your client win. And if I can be any part of that, once again, the appraisal gap coverage strategies, rock solid level 2, level 3 pre-approvals, quick closings. We close as quickly as 15 days. I would love the opportunity to help you win, help your buyers win, and get more of our offers accepted quicker in the process and get our clients in the homes that they deserve. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll leave it the last kind of 2 minutes. Anyone want to add anything that's worked really well or a success that they've had in the last couple of weeks from getting a multiple offer done? All right. Well, if you could do me a favor, email me if you want this slide deck. I have this all in a PowerPoint. I didn't share it on my screen today because I only have one screen and I just wanted this to be collaborative, but I have this all in a PowerPoint that I can share and take it, use it with your team, use it with other agents, use it any way you want. Whatever I give you is yours to take, steal, put your name on it. I take no offense to it. I've just done the same and taken these things from other people. And I hope you took a few things away today that will help your clients win more. And if I helped you make money today in any way, I would just love the opportunity at your next buyer lead. And I'd love the opportunity to meet with you to show you how I can help you behind the scenes get these offers accepted. Thank you for your time.